Hello everyone, my name is Todd Terry. I'm the music teacher at East Callaway Elementary School. This is my 4th year there, my 21st year total teaching. So in my Showcase Leadership project, I identified a need, which was that music education does not really happen in Callaway County Preschool, and it doesn't happen a lot in preschools in general. Preschool teachers use music to signal students to go line up or to clean up, or they teach a concept using music, but as far as purposeful music education, there really isn't that much. So my solution was to initiate a program called Little Laker Music Makers. And this program is where I went to the Callaway County Preschool once per week and presented a music lesson to each of the morning sessions of preschool. I couldn't go to the afternoon sessions because my East Elementary music schedule wouldn't allow it. But I collaborated with the preschool director and the principal at my school to create a schedule that would work for everyone. And then I created a curriculum based on the standards that the Arts and Humanities standards for the state of Kentucky. I prioritized those standards because I knew that I wouldn't be able to teach everything, but I wanted to be able to teach the most important things in my opinion. So then, once I had all of that, it was time to prepare lessons, and I had like a skeleton music lesson because I only had a limited amount of time. So at the very beginning, my classroom puppet, Puccini, he introduced the learning target, and then I explained it briefly, and then there was an activity next that involved gross motor activity, and it expanded the learning target, and also I had an assessment many times during that time. And then at the end I summarized. So I have a sample lesson right here for you. This is when we were learning about dynamics in music. Dynamics is loud and soft in music. So I was using a masterpiece, Rossini's William Tell Overture. And you can see I'm prompting students to show me. This is the assessment part. They're showing me, is it piano, that's a low level, that's soft. Is it mezzo forte, that's medium. Or is it forte, loud, that's a high. Incidentally, those are dance standards too. Levels, high, medium, and low. So that's Little Laker Music Makers. But within that project, I did identify actually another need, which was I couldn't go to the afternoon sessions of the preschool, and I wanted to give access to all the students at the Callaway Preschool. So my solution was to create a YouTube channel. It's called Puccini's Kitchen, and that allowed those preschool teachers to show music lessons to the afternoon sessions of preschool. Really, anyone can access those. I can use it in my classroom at East Elementary or for a sub. I have a sample of one of these lessons as well.
Puccini's Kitchen. Hello everyone, this is Mr. Terry. You hear that sound? Sounds like Puccini is maybe chopping something in his kitchen. Sounds like a steady beat. Do you hear that? Let's go see what he's up to in there. Puccini, come on out. Oh, hello there, Mr. Terry. And hello, everybody. Puccini, what were you making in there? I just heard what sounded like chopping. Oh, yes, I'm making salad. Well, that does require a lot of chopping. Yes, it does. Chop, chop, chop. Okay, well, Puccini, what kind of a salad are you making? Oh, I'm making a 2-beet salad. Oh, okay, a 2-beet salad. Well, we'll talk about the ingredients later. Right now, maybe I should do a beat activity. Keep a steady beat. Oh, good idea. Let's do that. Well, I'm going to use my hand.
Okay, so this is a lesson about beat, steady beat, and also beat groups of two. And then later you'll see that you can see that in the lesson, Puccini has a salad, and it also the ingredients that go into the salad are ones that have two syllables or two beats, like carrot. But celery would not go into the salad. So that's a pre-literacy activity. So let's move on to the research-based leadership project. And the problem that I identified here is that many music activities require a fee from students. So that I know of one big urban school, high school in Kentucky, whose band has an over $1,000 fee per student. So district and the state contribute little to nothing for many music activities like band, choir, musical theater, all sorts of musical activities. So when most students in Kentucky, almost 61%, qualify for free or reduced lunch, how do all students gain access to those musical activities? So when I was looking up some research studies about music education and about socioeconomic status as it pertains to academic success, I found a few research studies that were of interest. First, in 2014, there was a study of 6-year-old children who had an MRI both before 15 months of music instrument lessons and then after. And so what the conclusion was, they found that there was increased brain growth in those students in fine motor skills, hearing, and in the corpus callosum. The corpus callosum is that part of the brain that separates the left and right, and you want lots of activity in there. So that was a pretty interesting finding. In 2006, there was a study in the Columbus, Ohio public school system where they took the 9th graders' standardized test scores in all areas, and then they also looked back to their 6th grade scores and their 4th grade scores. And there were a lot of findings in this study, but two that are pertinent to my study are right here. That full price instrumental students, that is, students that are involved in an instrumental music class, and also pay full price for lunch, those students were the highest performing students in all subject areas at all levels. Conversely, the free or reduced non-instrumental students, those who are not involved in an instrumental music class and who qualify for free or reduced lunch, were the lowest performing students in all subjects at all levels. The last one I want to tell you about is from just last year, and it studies the effects of arts education on cortisol levels in preschool children. Cortisol is that hormone that the body produces in times of stress, so you don't want lots of cortisol in your body. So cortisol in this study was tested in the preschool students 4 times a day at different times throughout the year. So it was tested after homeroom class, after art class, music class, and then after dance class. And the conclusion that they made after this study was that arts classes reduced cortisol levels, and music classes were the most consistent. Those were the findings of that study. So my research question was, to what extent does the socioeconomic status of a student body influence the music educator's attitude toward active recruitment of and support for music activities that pose a financial burden on students? All of those words mean, if I'm a music teacher and I'm in a school where the majority of the students are from low socioeconomic status, am I reticent to recruit students for my musical activities because I know they can't afford it? What are the attitudes of those teachers? So I created a survey, and it was a 10-question survey that I distributed to all of the K through 12 music teachers in the Kentucky Music Educators Association, and I got quite a bit of response back. I wanted to share with you just a few of the findings that I have from that survey. So this part of the survey was a rating scale. So respondents would choose 1 if they completely disagreed, 2 if they somewhat agreed, somewhat disagreed, 3 if they somewhat agreed, and 4 if they completely agree. So question number 5 says this: I recruit students in my school to be in musical activities that have an associated cost regardless of their socioeconomic status. And as you can see, well over 90% of those respondents completely agreed or agreed with that statement. And then in number 6, you can see the results as I read the prompt. If I know a student cannot afford a musical activity, I do not recruit that student for the musical activity. And well over 90% either somewhat agreed or completely disagreed with that statement. So you can see that music teachers are pretty committed to giving access to all students regardless of their socioeconomic status. Number 7 was an interesting question about private lessons, and it says, I recommend to students that they participate in private lessons regardless of their socioeconomic status. So this was a little more divided, and the reasoning is, my hypothesis here is that private lessons, that is an ongoing expense. It can be for many years, and also you have to have reliable transportation. It's sort of hard to coordinate, so that it's a little more out of the music teacher's control. So my conclusion after this, and looking at all of my results, is that music educators' recruitment and support of students' participation in music activities that require a fee is not affected by the socioeconomic status of the students. Teachers in the state of Kentucky are finding ways to let everyone have access to music activities, so regardless of socioeconomic status. And I found many creative ways that they are doing so based on the survey. So how am I showing my leadership through the research-based project? Well, I have been selected for next year to be the chair of the Kentucky Music Educators Association First District Elementary School Teachers Division. And part of my responsibilities with that is that I coordinate professional development. And so I will be sharing my findings in this research project with those teachers in professional development capacity. So there are my references, and I really appreciate your attention to my leadership in music education presentation. Thank you.